Hello, Oracles. Woo, boy. Man, for those of you guys who are over on Twitter, you saw that I am now positive on Tesla. So patience and dollar cost averaging definitely paying off significantly. So just barely up, but hey, you know what? Considering how beaten down we've been, totally love this. So we're going to dive into some numbers. Gort has been sharing some information from his side of what he has been seeing through technical analysis. And he and I were having a great discussion about, what's awesome is when different people are looking at things from a different angle, but you all come to the same conclusion. So looking at the gaps themselves, gap above us from here is 262. Next level of resistance above us right now is 228. Between those two numbers, he looks at things totally differently based upon his lines. Hitting 228 would be that resistance, and then he would like for us to get over 260 and push past that, and then come back down. And that's probably where we're going to end up coming. So we may end up filling that $262 gap. We may go above that. Don't know. Either way, this is looking pretty awesome. What is going on, guys? Hello, Johnny. Hello, Karav. What is going on, Sith Lord? Yeah, let's keep moving up. Absolutely. Yeah, the after-hour stock price up to 225. I mean, toss it up here for you. Yeah, 225 after hours. Loving this. Absolutely loving this. So I don't know where we go from here. Again, I'm not selling anything. I'm at 69 shares now. Been trying to clear out of some other stuff as we move up. But again, when we go back to what Adam and I had spoken about, discussing when, we have the Fed pausing, that's usually when we see the run. But the pause comes a little bit after. It's like, when the market anticipates the pause, that's when the run really starts. Then we get the pause, and then we run up to potentially all-time highs. We've got Microsoft, Apple, a lot of big tech companies are hitting all-time high, or at least 52-week highs they've been hitting. So we may be hitting a lot of 52-week highs coming up. And Tesla has a long way to go to get there. So I'd have to go back. Actually, let's take a look at the chart really quick. Toss it back up here. Let's see where we would need to go for a 52-week high. So last June, hopefully I don't lose this here. Let's see. So last June, around this time, we were at 257. So again, filling that 262 gap. This is just me taking a quick look at it. Filling that 262 gap would be a 52-week high. Oh, wait, I lied. My bad. Let's go further along here. Hey, gotta love live stream. So 314. So that 314 where we touched twice. And again, that was where we had peaked out. And here's the 262 gap here. That's where we hit last September. But 314 is that peak that we have hit in the past. So Raymond, DCA is dollar cost averaging. So dollar cost averaging is different for a lot of people. It's just a matter of consistently putting money into a stock or ETF or something in the market on a consistent basis, whatever your strategy is. For me, it's a daily basis of $20. Sometimes big money does it on a quarterly basis. That's the rebalancing at the end of the quarter. So they rebalance, they're going to do their dollar cost averaging at that point. Some people do it on a monthly basis. Some people do it on a weekly basis. Totally different for everyone, but that's what it is. Dean, is your end of 2023 price target still 846 a share? Oh, that's 846 is no, that's old. 247 is what I had it at last. So I have not updated it. I'm leaving it. So 247 is currently my end of year price target. What's going on, Lang? And if you guys see behind me here, that is Nova Scotia. I have friends who live up there who are actually very close to the fires. So I don't know if any of you guys are there or have friends there, but I wish everyone the best up in that area, hearing some stories of people losing everything. My buddy is really close. So far he's fine, but he's 5 miles away from one and a mile and a half away from another that they already put out, but it's pretty scary stuff. It's on fire like Tesla stock, but Tesla stock on fire is a good thing. Next resistance level, Randy, is 228. We're kind of at one right now. So the 222 level was a resistance, not a strong one. So we're seeing it push up after hours. But hitting that 221 right now is basically right at that resistance. And then above that's going to be 228. Raymond, I think really at this point right now, everything is still macro related. I was talking to somebody talking to somebody in the comments, and it really comes down to we're still in a macro driven environment. And that's usually what happens when you're in a bear market, even though we're technically not in a bear market. That is realistically in an uncertain economy like this. That's what happens. We're macro driven. So this is all swinging with the flow of everything else. If you get breakaways or if you over exaggerate one way or another, it's very short lived, and we've already seen that happening over the last year. So that's really what it is, and just everything with the macro still going up. So we're going to continue going up. Some recovering because we did underperform for a bit there, but we're coming back, and that's really all it is. So I don't think we're going to get into a bull market where Tesla can truly run like it has in the past. I don't think we're going to get there until the end of probably past elections. Once we get past elections here in the US 2024, that's when we'll see it. Yeah, some people are still in the negative. I know. And so for me, dollar cost averaging, you guys who followed along with me, my cost basis was $265. And I just kept chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. And it's now 221.29. So literally right at break even right now, just above. And then, yeah. Angry Baldman will beat deliveries estimate for Q2. I'm going to dive into my numbers. Actually, Karav, if you are on, or if anybody knows, what are the current estimates? I do not know that yet. I haven't had a chance to dive in to see what the estimates are. I know those usually get adjusted near the end of the quarter anyway, so I'll have to take a look. But yeah, the Q2 numbers they're looking good so far. I just do not know what the estimates are. Yeah, 225.50, man. Looking at 224.93 right now, but my goodness, seeing the stock back to these levels is nice to see. Very, very nice to see. Yeah, Lang. And I know Australia. Well, when I was there, on the total other side of your country from where you are, I know when I was in Sydney, there were some nasty wildfires going on out there. So I know you guys are not immune to it as well. But Nova Scotia, it's normally because that's near where I am in New England, and outside right now it's all hazy and you can smell the smoke. That's how bad it is, and we're pretty far. I mean, we're not close to Nova Scotia. We're pretty far, but we can smell the smoke. We even have smoke forecasts going on right now. So it's pretty gnarly over here. Not pleasant at all. Philip Ben randomly, Apple won't make motor vehicles, but I see them getting into robotics. One day we'll see a world chess championship between Tesla robot. That would actually be pretty awesome. That would be great. I would love to see that. And you can watch it through either your Oculus or your really super expensive Apple glasses. That yeah, and I don't think they're gonna. The whole Apple car thing. I think Apple's going to be involved in an EV in some sort, but I don't know if it's going to be their own vehicle, because trying to do something like that at scale, while they have clearly the money to do it, don't know if they want to bother with it. There's so many other ventures they can get into as far as a third-party vendor for software, other things. I have a buddy who works for Apple, and he's doing a lot of stuff for the automotive interiors for a lot of cars with lighting systems, sound systems, things like that. So I think Apple's going to get into that kind of thing with vehicles, and they'll probably partner up with a lot of the legacy auto or some of the startups for all of that. Karab, here we go. Analyst consensus is looking at 446. Let me see if I can find your charts and get them up here. Yeah, Kenneth, lots of great news. Loving it. Let me get on here and see if I can find. Yeah, today at work I had multiple important people at my branch, so didn't have a chance to do anything on here. Good stuff that we went over today, which isn't always the case, but it was good. So I was happy about all of that. Let's see here. I was searching for Karam. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'll get this up here for you. Yeah, because China reported their numbers this morning as well, for the month of May. Let's see. Where are we at? There we go. Get this off of here. Why aren't you doing what I want you to do? That's fine. Karav, what were the numbers out of China for May? Because I'm grabbing your information right now. I don't see it in there. I'm just curious because I saw them this morning, but I can't remember what they were. There we go. Much better. It's up here for everybody to see. All right. Yep. So consensus estimates. Get this out of here. Consensus estimates. Yep. For 456, 400. Karav's estimates 181, 400 out of North America, 150 out of China, 97 out of Europe, and 28,000 everywhere else. So yeah, so 456 is the estimate. I believe the last estimate that I had was 465 for the quarter. So we'll see if my 465 stands. So yeah, that I'd be happy with that. Again, it's still growth. I mean, growth is what we're looking for. So when we're looking at estimates, is like, do we really go by estimates or do we just go by the fact that the company is growing in the direction we want them to grow? That's really it. Let's see here. Lang 255 now. Yeah, with 255, like I said, between myself and Gort and looking at charts and stuff, looks like we could potentially get ourselves up to 262, maybe higher. So you could be going the green. Now, with all of that said, to be realistic, I want to be transparent with you guys. I do think that this run is awesome. We may be on a reverse dead cat bounce on the way back up. However, I do still think we are going to pull back. I think we're going to at least fill that 146 gap. If I see the 114, whether we fill it or not, I don't know. But I do think we're going to fill that 146 gap. Robert, let's see. Took a bit of a profit today, thinking it will correct soon. I actually don't like hoping it goes down. Much more fun rooting for it to keep going up. I totally agree. But you have to be realistic. And we've seen it before. And it's normal, natural, and healthy. So if a stock pulls back, it's not a bad thing. It's just like when you're working out and you're overtraining. If you don't give your body a chance to rest and recover, you're going to end up hurting yourself. It's not good. It's not healthy to keep on doing that. You'll actually make better progress by pushing yourself hard, taking a bit of a break, pushing yourself hard, and giving yourself that rest. So it's just like the stock market. It's exactly the same thing. It's good to get a push like this, but then it's good to kind of give yourself a breath, relax, chill out. At those moments where we chill out, that's that dip. That's where we buy on that dip. Not financial advice, but that's when I buy on that dip. And then we go back up again. But just like working out, you still want to keep with your nutrition on a daily basis. You want to make sure you're eating properly. That's your dollar cost averaging. So that's my analogy for the day. Maybe there may be more. We'll see. Roland Percher. Oh, I love Roland Percher too. Roland's great. A couple of guys to follow. Karav, definitely follow Karav here. Over on Twitter. Gort is a good one. Roland Percher is great to follow as well. Which other companies do you like besides Tesla? Let me see. I like Nvidia. I like AMD. I like Palantir. I own SoFi. I own Beachbody, but I own Beachbody strictly because of the fact that I'm a Beachbody coach. I do think the company is going to be fine. But right now the stock is getting just pummeled. So um, it's up to you guys. If you want to jump into that, I think it's going to be all right, but they may get delisted off the NASDAQ because they're not over $1. So yeah, if we hit a recession, it could be ugly for them. Other companies I like, I'm actually diving into a lot of ETFs because I'm really looking um, at cash flow generation, and a lot of ETFs are paying pretty decent dividends right now. So I'm rolling some money into those to get the cash flow. So like I've got QYLD, I've got JEPI, JEPQ, TSLY is a big one that Robert had gotten me onto. Huge dividend payouts there. SVOL I'm in. So yeah, those are a couple of big ones that I'm in. Other stocks that I own. Wow, I'm trying to remember what my own portfolio is. Like I just dollar cost average into stuff and just let it roll, and I track it little by little. Palantir, SoFi, Tesla. I don't have many. I've thinned out quite a few of my positions just because like Tesla and ETFs make a lot more sense to me than anything else. Let's see. Oh, nice, Katie. Yeah. Yeah. Palantir and SoFi. No, I've been thinning out a bit of my Palantir. They've got a giant gap that goes down to $10. I do think it's going to pull back to that. So I have no problem swing trading with Palantir at the moment. So I will do that. And then if I can roll that money right back into it at that $10 level, I will do so. No longer clear if Feds will stop rate cut. 70% estimate yesterday. Yeah, that was the big question. Like there were some thoughts of the Fed was going to actually do another rate hike and not pause. And that was a question. So if the Fed does come out and raises rates, we can see all of this reverse in a heartbeat. If they come out and pause and give us indication that they do not foresee any more rate hikes in the foreseeable future, then we can continue going up. So I think that's going to be very important to pay attention to. So we get some pretty good information over the next couple of weeks about all of that. And then the next FOMC, I think, is end of June. If anybody has that date, let me know. But I'm pretty sure it's end of June because we had one at the beginning of May, and it's usually like a month or a month and a half in between them. Let me see. Do you like TMF 3X Bull Treasury? Ooh, I do not. I'm going to have to look into that one. I do not know about that one. TSLL is another one that I'm in. But yeah, TMF, I do not know. Sunshi, what support levels do you see for Tesla on the next pullback? So a reminder that most support levels are the same as the resistance. It goes both directions. So it's kind of like a wall that you have to break through. And when you break through it, it creates it. And of course, you create new ones along the way as well. So dropping back down from here, there would be 214 was one, 208, 200, of course. Then below that, you've got 192, 180, 166, and then 150 and 146 for the gap are the ones that I know of. So those would be all the support levels on the way back down. And some are stronger than others. Just like when we saw us coming down from 314, some of them were like we came down, stopped at it for a day, came down to the next one, stopped at it for a day, and then kept on going from there. Then we hit that 244 level, which don't forget on the way back up, 244 was that big gap that we were waiting to get filled previously. We filled that gap. And now we're kind of at that point where we're coming up to that again. So that 244 level could present us with another place that we could stop at. We should start looking at earnings each day and get an idea of when to buy the dips and runs. Yeah, that's something that I pay attention to. The hard part about it with earnings is the fact that earnings are so unpredictable because a company can come out and give you absolute crap for numbers, give you crap guidance, but there's like one thing, there's like, oh, somebody saw a butterfly while we were watching the earnings call and where the stock's going to go up. And on the other side of things, the company could have amazing earnings and amazing guidance, but somebody farted during the earnings call and they're like, oh, time to sell off. It's so unpredictable to follow all that stuff. But one thing I do want to check on while we're on here, I will take a look at. Oh, I got to go. Not there. It's not where I wanted to go. Let's see. Where's the next FOMC meeting calendar? So it is June. Oh, where is it? FOMC June 13th and 14th is when we're going to be getting it. So June 13th and 14th, and then July 25th and 26th will be the next one after that. So, and let me see. The other thing I wanted to see was investing. Let's see. CPI. Let me see when the CPI is going to be. I thought it was this June 13th. So June 13th is going to be the CPI, and then the PPI is usually the day after, so probably June 14th. June 14th, yep. So June 13th, June 14th for the CPI and PPI, and then the FOMC is going to be right at the same time. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting for the next couple of weeks for sure. Why did that not do what I wanted it to do? So, yep, June 13th and 14th, the days we're going to get the CPI and PPI, and it's going to be the days that we get the FOMC meeting. So the timing is actually pretty good because the first day of the FOMC meeting, we're going to get the CPI. Second day, we're going to get the PPI. Then we're going to get the Fed decision. So they're going to have very, well, we'll call it up-to-date information, even though it's lagging data. It's up-to-date at the moment. So it's not like we've got only May's data to go by. We'll have, June data. So at least we'll get updated numbers. So when we get that information from the Fed, it should be pretty good info so that they can give us a good indication as to what we're going to see in the future. Since I've been watching, you have accrued 232 shares of Tesla. I don't have 232 shares. I wish I had 232 shares. I've got 69 plus my 11 in my IRA, so 80 total. Man, if I had accrued 232 shares, that would be amazing. But I do thank you guys all, because all of the super thanks and super chats you guys give me, I was able to buy a full share last month from all of that. So you guys are awesome. Thank you. Just keep on adding to that total. Model 3 inventory shot up today despite cost of $23 after credit. No news yet of launch of Highland. Yeah, we should be expecting the news of Highland. That was the rumor, is that we may get some leaks about Highland this week. And it's going to have hardware 4, a whole big refresh on it, which it was due for. And the inventory on Model 3s, I'm almost wondering now, Raymond, where did you see that inventory shot up? Is that company-wide? Just curious as to where you saw the inventory going up. And it may very well be something where, hey, they've now pushed them all out to places to sell them to get them gone because they're now cranking out the Highland. So those might be all the last of the previous models. Just curious where those were at. But yeah, looking at some of them. So I also heard some news about California. Depending on where you buy it in California with credits, you can actually get a Tesla Model 3 for under $20,000 because of all the credits you can get. So like all these people out here saying that Teslas are still expensive, dude, you want a Model 3? You can get it cheap, man. So it's not like, and of course, it's not like you're going down and saying, hey, I want to buy a Honda Civic for, $22,000. That's the sticker price. So it's not like that's the sticker price. It is after credits and all of that, what the price is going to be. However, we're still moving in that direction. And at the end of the day, if you're wise with your money and you want to get an EV, it's worth it. Do you like ChargePoint and EV Go? I mean, both of those I think are going to be fine going forward. Anything that has to do with EVs, as long as they're running their business well, they should be fine, because that's the way the entire world is moving. So there's a huge market for them to get into. Obviously, Tesla's doing it and they're growing rapidly, but there's always room for other people to be out there. So Um, I think they'll be fine. It's just a matter of, can their technology be as good as Tesla's? It's kind of like, when you go to the gas station, like, do I want to go to a mobile or do I want to go to a Citgo? They're both giving you gas, but the experience and the gas itself are two totally different things. So that's just really that's my take on it, from my standpoint. Yeah, Lou, nice green day today. I love it. Uh, FCX and SQM up. I'll have to check these out. I love when you guys give us little stock tickers. I don't always buy them, but I always take a look at them to see what they're all about. Always curious to see what other options and opportunities are out there. Context for Model 3 inventory. It spiked up because a ton of first Model 3 long range cars were posted on the website. Thank you. That's right. I forgot the long range is coming out. So thank you, Karav. Also, I think they're listing all the cars that can be anticipation of refresh. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, the long range is the big one. So I totally forgot that the long range was out. What happened post market? That actually I don't know. When as soon as I saw it, I was on here with you guys. So if anybody knows if there was some news or something that popped us after market, or it's just going because it's going, you guys can let me know on that one, because I truly do not know. Actually, let me hop on Twitter. Maybe somebody's got something that they're chit chatting about. Let's see, Twitter. Trending. Everybody's just talking about it. Trending, trending, trending. After hours. Nothing big news. The other thing too, and of course, just I love being excited about the stock. I love being excited about the market and all of this, but I always try to take a quick step back and, sorry, there's a squirrel right outside my window. Hey, buddy. It's like checking me out. Like, if I could get him in here on the live stream, I would totally do it. Sorry for that. Gosh, now I totally lost track of what I was talking about. Oh yeah, so not to be, a fuddy-duddy or anything, but just some, hey dad, what's going on? Just realistically, anything can happen. We've seen so many black swan events happening over the last few years. It's absolutely wild what comes up. I'm seeing on the news little things about, China and the US, Navy ships passing close to each other, jets flying close to each other. So it's like, are we trying to like dip into this FUD of something? Maybe there's an issue going on with China, maybe the Taiwan thing. Maybe we're going to have some huge drama going on over there that's going to cause the market to pull back. Because every time we see a massive market pullback or a stock pullback of some sort, it's not something that was predictable. Like, we can look at the charts and say, hey, we're predicting that the stock is going to pull down in this direction. It's going to go up in this direction. But the catalyst itself isn't always readily visible. And then that catalyst comes out and it's like, oh, that came out of left field. I had no idea that was going to happen, but it goes right in line with what we've seen from the charts. And so for me, that's something that I pay attention to. And I've mentioned it many a time in the past, is even though we may not know why the stock is going to move one way or another, it typically, historically, does move in those directions, which is why technical analysis works and it doesn't work. I mean, technical analysis works because people use it. And the more people use it, the more it's going to work. But it doesn't tie in directly with these random events that come up, unless these random events aren't random and somebody is truly kind of manipulating things from a very high level. Don't know. That could be a conspiracy theory. Who knows? Either way, it's just a very strange coincidence that we see massive moves in the stock, and one way or the other, that the charts are showing we should be moving, but we don't know why it would be moving. And then we get some random event that causes it to move. So do what you will with that information. It's just some observation that I've done for myself to see over time, and it's just kind of strange. When do you think a pullback will come? So at this point, I don't know. I'm kind of looking at, previously I was wondering if we were going to fill that 146 gap before we ran up. Clearly we did not. We got down to 150, did not fill the gap, and now we're going up. looking at the direction we're going, looking at the RSI, and I'm actually going to pop it up here and show you guys what I was looking at before we got on, because kind of got a quick realization of something. So when we're looking at, let me get back here. The day. So when we're looking at the RSI here, so clearly we're overbought. We're at 79 in the RSI. When you go to the weekly RSI, we're only at 59. You go to the monthly, and we're right in the middle at 50. Now, if you go back in time for the last couple of years, for almost 2 years on the monthly RSI, we were overbought. That's a long time. So with that said, based upon the monthly and the weekly RSI, we've got room to continue moving up. So if we continue moving up with this and let that daily RSI just hold, maybe cool off a little bit here and there and allow us to push up more, again, that is telling me that we may fill that 262 gap and then kind of reassess from there. Maybe we push up to that 314 level and hit that 52-week high again. If we do that, that's where I'm going to be looking. Where do we hit that 314 and where do we go from here? Not to say that we cannot pull down. We've already seen this go from 314 to $100 in less than a year. So anybody out there who's saying we're never going to come down to those levels, to be honest, is being ignorant. We've done it before. We can do it again. So these are just things that I like to mentally prepare myself for the possibility of and just be ready for it. So when I think that pullback is going to be coming, if all the information that we have is going to come to fruition, the Fed pausing, and we run up, we might not get that pullback until right around the time, right before the Fed's going to pivot. So it could be end of this year, beginning of next year, where we get that massive pullback. That's kind of where I'm at mentally. So unless something comes up in the near term that's going to cause it, like the Fed coming out and raising interest rates, or a war happening with China, or some other tensions going on, I think we're going to end up going up. We could have a very nice run from here and then end up pulling back afterwards. Yahoo announced a $23,000 California. Oh, yes. That's what we were just talking about. Yeah, with all the tax credits over there, that's why. That explains it. So I didn't realize that that was an aftermarket thing. I thought that happened during the middle of the day. Raymond, yeah, Raymond. That's right around the time I saw it. It was about 3:30, 3:45. So I think that's exactly what it was. I think it was that vehicle. So that must have been it. Ooh, or Elon liked a tweet by Sawyer about expanding FSD to Europe. That's a big one too. So we already know that, and I have no doubt while Elon was over in China, he was discussing with them about FSD, because we've already heard about them having vehicles over there that are autonomous. So I have that going. Yes. Yep, Tesla's going to break through 225. It did, and packing. Yep. Looking forward to seeing you guys, Dad. Can't wait for you guys to come out here. Yeah, if Tesla crosses 230 tomorrow, like I said, 228 is going to be the next resistance. So pay attention to that tomorrow. If we continue pushing up the way we've been going, 228 could be a place that we stop at. You know, the way we've been pushing up right now, we might hit, if we're at 225, we might hit that 228. But if we open the day at 225, that's another gap that we're going to create on the way up. And just remember, 9 out of 10 times gaps get filled. So this is why, as exciting as this is to go up, when it comes to people who are swing trading, these are things to pay attention to and learn about, because when it comes to the swing trading, going up and seeing these levels, there's a good chance we're going to come back down to them. So if you're looking to take profits, just be careful with that. You don't know when we're going to turn around. Timing obviously isn't the best, but there's a chance that we will end up coming down to fill those gaps. Job is staffing company for the USA, only with a book value of 90 cents, with many hedge funds bought at 80 cents and over $1, which has zero debt and 20 million in cash, doing a buyback. Interesting. Huh. I will have to take a look into that one. Thank you. I will take a look at that. Maybe Gordon Johnson came out as a closeted bull. Yes. Finally, he puts on the Tesla hat. Um, do you have a best guess when Tesla will get back to $500 or higher? Yes. My best guess is going to be 2025. I have a feeling we will get to, maybe I have a feeling we're going to hit 262, or maybe we get to that 314 level, pull back. Once we finish that next pullback, the next pullback, which could be substantial, I think is going to be the real pullback, and that'll be the last one. Once we see that bottom, that's when we're going to see it, because the housing market still hasn't come down yet. A lot of reasons why, just to explain my thought process behind why I think we're going to see a big pullback coming towards the end of the year. Unemployment is starting to go up. As unemployment goes up, people can't pay mortgages, can't pay rent, whatever it is. If people can't pay rent to their landlords, then the landlords can't pay their mortgage in some cases. They end up defaulting. They end up going in sell their houses back to the banks. There's a lot of short selling going on houses. So a lot of this could be transpiring. We have not seen that housing market turn yet. Typically, that housing market turn comes 6 months after the stock market hits the bottom. So we're still paying attention to what's going on with the housing market. We have not gotten to that point of the capitulation yet. When that happens, that means there's a lot less people who have money, because a lot less people have jobs, can't afford their housing, can't afford living. And if they can't afford that, that's obviously the number one expense for most people. They're not going to be buying a lot of other things as well. That means that we're going to get into an earnings recession. That means that GDP is going to go into a recession. That's that downward domino effect that I'm potentially seeing coming for the end of this year. That's the reason why I'm taking a look at when that happens. And this is historically what has happened. It's usually every 10 years we get into sort of this scenario. This is what happened in 2008. We go through that whole scenario, everything pulls back, we get that full flush out. A lot of companies start to go bankrupt. We get all the zombie companies that are going to get flushed out. That's cleaning the slate. We haven't had a good slate cleaning in about almost 15 years now. We're overdue for it. So I think that's what's going to end up happening. We get that massive pullback, that whole flush goes on, then we can start fresh and start climbing up again. But I think, and then after we get past that, then I think we're going to get to that $500 level. But I think we have to go through the cleaning first before that happens. TOFOM, I guess pullback will be end of July. Yeah, and I think we will get some smaller pullbacks between now and the massive one. Just like I said, naturally, we're going to get some kind of cool off periods here and there. We're not just going to complete run straight up until then, but I think we're going to go up. And like I said, it's going to be the reverse dead cat bounce. So we're going to kind of go up like this, but then we're going to flush out, I think. TM, Elon buying Twitter was a huge mistake, wiped out so much money. The stock would be over $400. Yes and no. If you take a look at the actual number of shares that he sold and the prices, it doesn't equate to that number. What it ended up triggering could be argued to say yes, because when he sold, a lot of people in the FUD that it caused, and a lot of other people paper handing, and then it causing a lot of shorts, or causing a lot of people who are on margin to get margin called. So you can argue that him selling caused that domino effect in some manner, for sure, but him actually selling the shares was not going to keep us that high. But you could definitely say that him selling caused a lot of the negativity and a lot of the people selling that caused us to pull down that far. Yeah, I should bought $105,000 Tesla at 277 deep in red. Hopefully this rally can take to 300. Whether we get to 300 or not, I don't know. If you can, recommendation, but not advice. But obviously dollar cost averaging is the way I go to lower your cost basis. So, but either way, if you plan on holding this long term, I have strong confidence that you're going to be perfectly fine in the long term. So even if we don't get back to 300 within the next 6 months, hold tight. I have a strong feeling we're going to get well past that within the next 5 years. I would love to see the 146 gap fill, but it's not looking that way unless hell breaks loose between China and Taiwan. That could happen. All these tensions that are going on right now, it could happen. But again, I think things are going to happen, and we're going to see a pullback for sure. Up 25% of your Tesla. Nice. I love it. I love it. Me, Kevin, today said he thought Elon may sell more Tesla due to Twitter still not profitable. Timing will be more early 2024. Part of me wonders if he did that for clickbait. Um, but realistically, like Elon said, they're almost break even now when it comes to Twitter. So I can't foresee that happening. But Elon did say he's not selling any more for this year, regrets selling as much as he had to sell at the end of last year. Uh, because he thought that he was going to need more money than he did for Twitter. So the fact that he said that he sold more than he needed to keep Twitter afloat, and Twitter actually made a turn faster than he thought, tells me that if he sells again, it's not going to be because Twitter is not profitable, because chances are he either has enough money on the sidelines to float it, or they are actually going to be profitable. However, chances are if he sells in 2024 or 2025, which he kind of alluded to, he didn't say he wasn't going to sell, but he didn't specifically say he was. If that happens, it's going to be for some other reason whatsoever. What it's going to be, I don't know. But I don't think at this point he's going to be selling again for Twitter. But 2024 could be a time that he sells again. But again, if we're all anticipating this massive pullback at that point, thinking about the timing of it and what they're doing with Tesla themselves, if they're going to do a buyback and they're anticipating themselves this massive potential recession and pullback coming, that's when they would want to do a buyback, is when the stock price is extremely suppressed. Elon wouldn't want to sell at that time as well. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Unless he had to sell, it doesn't make sense. So I don't know. But again, I truly don't know. But I don't think it would make sense for him to be selling at the same time that Tesla would be doing a buyback, unless Tesla was literally just buying his shares, which we've talked about before. Let's pump this stock hard. We're not about stock pumping here. We're about talking realistic numbers and reality and stuff. But hey, it's running very nicely right now. So I'm very all excited about that. 268 price target in 3 to 4 months. Could be it. That could be it, because that fills that 262 gap. Yep, Marty's right here. Look at this. People, these moves are small potatoes. Eyes on the prize. I see Tesla at $2,000 in 2027. Just saying. Yep. Again, long-term visions. Somebody, I think it was Dr. Jack, had posted a tweet about holding in the market and the percentage chances of you having a gain. And over 10 years, your percent chance of having your portfolio be up after 10 years is 100%. So obviously you don't want to buy one crap stock and dump it all into that. But if you're diversified, or if you buy into companies that you truly believe in, or even just index funds, 10 years, long-term investing. Swing. There's nothing wrong with swing trading. A lot of people do it. A lot of people make a lot of money, but a lot of people fail at it, and a lot of people lose a lot of money as well. Yeah, China U.S. ships. Yeah, we were just talking about that, and then a couple weeks ago was a jet fighter as well. So, what are your thoughts on Ford and Tesla working together? Quite honestly, I don't see it not happening. Jim Farley, of all the legacy automotive makers, Jim Farley, when Herbert Diess was with VW, I could have seen them doing it too. But Jim Farley seems like the guy who was like, you know what? We see the direction that we need to go. We see Tesla as obviously a company to look up to as far as what we need to do, what we need to compete with, and who we should mimic when we come to our own, processes as to what we do, but we can do it in the Ford way. So to have them work together, I don't see it not happening. And as Elon said, patents are all out there. Patents are free for everybody to take a look at and use. They're more than willing to help any companies that are out there. So, we may get to a point, because if Ford and GM are now both saying that they don't see themselves becoming profitable with EVs until 2030, if the EV revolution starts to move faster than even they anticipate, that means that their ICE vehicles are going to be laggards. And because of that, their EVs are going to be not profitable. I could see Ford at that point and Jim reaching out and saying, all right, Tesla, what can we do to work on this together? We're trying to make sure our company does well also. Let's do this. So I could see it. Yeah, strong support at 195. Thanks, Dad. Yeah, 195 to 200 is strong support there. I think Tesla is overbought and might get another few bucks, but I think dip is going to happen. Yeah, it's coming. It's very overbought on a daily basis, but on the weekly and monthly, it's not there. So um, we still have some room to grow on those two bases, but I do think we're going to get a pullback just to cool off a little bit. Yeah, Ford will license Tesla's FSD before long. It's only a way for Ford survives, and Farley knows it. Have no doubt that's going to happen. And I know Ford's working on it, but they're so far behind on what they're doing. I have no doubt that at one point they're going to say, "All right, we're losing enough money. We've got to scrap what we're doing here. We're obviously not going to survive when it comes to autonomy. Scrap that whole project. Let's take that money and put it into EVs and something else that's going to make us money." Let me see. Tim, are there any EV incentives where you live? Yes, in Connecticut there are. I will research for next time to let you guys know because I do not know them right now. But in Connecticut, we do have incentives. I don't think it's a lot, but it's enough to bring. I want to say the Model 3 for us rear wheel drive was like $38,000 or something after all the credits between the U.S. government and Connecticut. So it was like 35 or 38, something like that. So yeah, we've got some incentives here. Were there any incentives for you guys, Karav, when you guys got your Model Y? Yeah, if Fed raises rates, there's going to be a huge decline in stocks. Absolutely, because right now the market is not pricing in another rate hike. Yeah, Wall Street analysts adjusted their price targets after the fact. City analyst new price target moved up yesterday, up to 215. And I had mentioned it in the video yesterday, which is them moving up on their price target is awesome, but typically most analysts don't do it until the last 2 weeks of the quarter. So having it come out this early is a good sign. That's usually a very good indicator that things are looking good for the company. And that came out right after they came out with the European numbers. And then today we got China numbers. Nice, Jerry. 1,000 by the end of 2025. I like that. Danny, what's the lowest gap now? You don't want to know. You don't want to know what the lowest gap is because it's $24. But the lowest gap that I'm looking at is 114. If we get into a massive recession, like total collapse at the end of this year, I think we fill the $57 gap. So those are the two that are on my radar for worst case scenario. Yeah, lowest gap is too low. I mean, yes and no, because this is the way I look at it, and I'm always optimistic about these things. But if my view on Tesla as a company is that they are going to be, the most impactful company, and as Elon said, they can be the price of Saudi Aramco and Apple combined, and even more. If that is what I see long term for the company, if we get a massive pullback and we come down and we fill that gap at $24, I will be massively excited to buy a crap ton at that point because I still have faith in the company to come back to where we are right now. That's from that point to where we are right now is a 10x. So that's the way I view it. And it helps keep my emotions in check when I look at it from that standpoint. So in the process of getting there, it's going to be painful, but I don't think we're going to get down there. But if that does happen, yeah, there's going to be a lot of buying going on. Sir, sir, thanks, Lewis, sir. Sir, do you think Tesla will pull back this week or next week? I've been expecting a pullback coming. Again, looking at the RSI itself, I think we're going to get a pullback. But again, looking at the dates right now, next week we are getting the CPI, PPI, and FOMC. So later this week, in anticipation of those numbers and that information, it's the uncertainty. Now, again, we've talked about it many a time before, whether the news is good news or bad news, getting the clarification and the clarity of it usually turns into something good because the unknown is what the market doesn't like. Market doesn't like unanswered questions. And going into this weekend, right before all of that data coming out early next week, that could be enough to make the market kind of a little skittish, especially going into a weekend. They may be like, you know what? We don't know what's going to happen on Monday, so we might sell off on Friday just to be safe. could be some of that going on. So we may end up, if we see this continuing to run this week, we may see that Friday fade. Do you ever think Tesla could switch to battery swapping stations? My neighbor has a Model 3 and she's saying waiting 20 minutes for charging stinks sometimes. No, Tesla tried it. They tried it over in California and it wasn't logistically efficient and it was not a scalable product for them because they're putting up new charging stations everywhere constantly. It's like God, I can't remember the numbers that they just put up. But it's like every 12 hours they're putting up new stations. And it used to be 13. Like they're speeding up the process of putting up new stations. It's just going to take time. So eventually there are going to be a lot of charging stations and that, wait for 20 minutes is going to be gone. That is going to be changing as time goes on. We're just in that painful transition period. We could call it like the pre-teen years. We're going through puberty right now when it comes to Tesla and the charging infrastructure. So it's kind of awkward. We're not really there yet. We're not sure what we need to do. We're kind of figuring things out. Kind of like where FSD is at right now. It's still just figuring things out. It's getting better at it, but it's still figuring it out. It's kind of where it's at. So give it some time. It'll be better, but Tesla won't go into the battery swapping stations. Like I said, they tried it, just didn't work for them. Chinese balloon bumped into a US one market meltdown. Oh no, not balloons. I believe we see advertising campaign before any buybacks. I agree, especially after, that's what I love about the annual shareholder meeting is, Elon's just like, hey, here are your questions. You know what? You guys give me some valid stuff. Let's do it. And honestly, some of the things that I have seen for the advertising that make a lot of sense, I mentioned it the other day, where like people don't realize that all the incentives that they can get out there, like Karab was mentioning, I've got incentives here in Connecticut. There's statewide incentives all over the country. There's a national incentive that's going on. People who have in their mind that Tesla is going to be expensive, when they get this information, they can be like, oh, I did not realize that with all these tax credits, it's actually not as expensive as I thought. Range anxiety, that's a huge one that Tesla can address with advertising. The kind of like the biggest things that are common knowledge. Tesla doesn't have to go out there like the other ones and be like, buy our car because it's the awesomest and it's the best. And look at this shiny stuff. All Tesla needs to do is be like, dude, we're really not as expensive as you think. Range anxiety really isn't as bad as you think. Just do a little bit better planning. They don't even have to talk about the features, but they can be like, the safe mode for their dogs and kids, things like that. All of that stuff is stuff that Tesla can advertise. And I think that would be a nice eye opener for a lot of people who just don't know. Those of us obviously in the Tesla community, we know these things. There's a lot of people out there who just don't. Michael, howdy, Tim. Is your goal still 200 shares in 2023? It still is. That is my goal. The pace I'm going right now, I'm on pace for 100. So I need some major changes going on in my income. My expenses have gone up substantially. So my ability to add extra on top of what I've been investing has been very minimal. But I mean, I'm still happy with it. As you guys who are members and patrons, or if you saw my video the other day, my net worth is still going up. That to me is the important thing. Is my net worth going up? Is my free cash flow doing well? I'm adjusting my expenses right now to compensate for that because my free cash flow has been just garbage the last couple of months. So I'm adjusting that to make sure that I have the income coming in because I want to make sure I have all the free cash flow I can to be able to invest with the anticipation of the entire market pulling back, the housing market pulling back. I can invest in real estate. That real estate then goes into the future. So then I can have that being growing its worth as well. And on top of that, I can gain equity in that. Then if I'm going to be renting it out to people, that can be a cash flow generator also. To me, it's a lot of patience right now. And so I think I'm going to get the opportunity to get there. So maybe I get to 200 shares. So as of the point right now, 100 is I would like 100 should be happening without a problem. Getting to 200 is going to require some bigger efforts to happen. AMBP pays a 10-cent dividend and still have time to get the dividend, which makes cans. I will take a look at that. I love this. I don't even have my pen over here. Luckily, I remember most of these, but AMBP, I'll have to take a look at that. I do love the dividends. So in talking with my dad, one of the things my dad and I talk about is not buying a stock because of dividends. It doesn't pay enough. It doesn't make it worth it to buy just the stock at a dividend, and unless you're going to invest like Warren Buffett, getting into it, and then you're going to be in the stock for 60 years like Coca-Cola. Over time, those dividends will add up, but it takes a long time. So if you're going to get into a company like that you plan on being in forever, that's great. Otherwise, buying a stock or an ETF just for the dividends doesn't make a lot of sense. But some of these ETFs pay big, big money and on a monthly basis. So, which AMBP does that pay on a monthly or a quarterly basis? Because the monthly ones are great. So I'm loving those right now. Tesla won't ever do a buyback. They will. They're definitely going to do it. I just don't know when they're going to do it. Probably end of this year, beginning of next year. Nice line goal of 250 shares. I love it. Yes, thank you, Robert. 75 people. Yeah, this is one of the best live streams we've had in a while. And I know part of it's because of my inconsistency, but I'm trying to get back to be consistent. So thank you guys for all coming here and joining us. I truly appreciate you guys being here. Hit that like button. Yeah. Didn't Ford make a deal with Tesla to use Tesla chargers and switch to Tesla charging port in 2024? Yeah, that happened. And Tesla is, obviously opening up more and more of their charging ports to everyone. So, it's just Tesla doing what they need to do to transition the world over to renewable energy. That's it. Can Tesla stock reach 450 by the end of the year? I don't think we're going to get that high. I would love it. I truly would, but I don't think we're going to get that high. I think 262 is definitely achievable. 314 is a potential. 450 is questionable. Will China really kick Apple out? Heck no, that won't happen. That would be like, just like Tesla, where people are thinking that, the China risk with Tesla, that won't happen either. Only get to $24 after a 10-to-1 split. Yeah. Tim, there's some Model 3 in Connecticut that are 37,000, then $7,500 federal tax credit, $7,500 tax credit. I mean, really? Ooh, Karav. I'm going to have to take a look at that, because if that's the case, yeah, because I do have my Model Y still out there. Karav, I'm going to look into that. Thank you. I might be getting a Tesla sooner than expected. Again, my expenses have gone up substantially, so I'm not just going to go buy a Tesla to buy a Tesla. Again, my commute is very short, but 22 that's enticing. Plus, I have to make sure that I do qualify for both of those credits. So I've got to make sure that I qualify for them. So I've got some research to do. Thank you. Michael, 1,000 shares. I love it. I love it. My ultimate goal is 4444, because 4 is my lucky number. Tesla needs to reward long-term shareholders with the promise of dividends by 2027. It's funny how initially Elon said they would never do dividends, but most recently, within the last year, that's kind of come up, and he didn't seem opposed to dividends. So I almost wonder if, in talking with institutions, because that's kind of the thing that, if they really want the big money investors to be in, it's kind of the thing that they need to do. So I think they'll do buybacks, but 2027, I think between 2027 and 2030, maybe we get the surprise and they do announce dividends. Again, as Tesla says, they're spending money as fast as they can do it, but they still have a lot of excess money after that. Now, people can think, well, how can you not spend money? There's plenty to spend money on. When you're looking at billions of dollars, and the fact that, as Farzad had mentioned a while back, opening up tons and tons of gigafactories doesn't make a lot of sense either, just because you want to make sure the culture for the company stays the same for all of their factories. That is extremely important for them. So what other investments can they make along the way that truly makes sense? That really is the question. Maybe with all of that extra money, the best investment they could do is a dividend. So that's obviously something that only Tesla knows. But we shall see what happens. But I would not be opposed to dividends in 2027 for Tesla. I think a lot of long-term shareholders would absolutely love that. PowerPoint Helen after hours. We were discussing that earlier. It sounds like Could be because in California, they were discussing a $23,000 Model 3 over there because of all the tax credits. And as Karav had mentioned, here in Connecticut, um, I could get one for $22,000, which is totally bonkers. If we get a good pullback, I'm hoping for 200 by the end of the year. It's kind of where I'm at. Same thing. So in order for me to get to my 200 shares, I either need to come into a significant chunk of money. And Michael, thank you for that. That's $10, and that's going right to my Tesla fund next month. I appreciate that. So it's either I come into a windfall of some sort, or the stock has to pull back significantly for me to make it happen. So still on my radar. I still want to make it happen, but we'll see. Can it go to 260 tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. But I think maybe I will get there, but I don't think it's going to get there tomorrow. I mean, unless Tesla tomorrow comes out and announces the compact car for $25,000, it ain't going to get there tomorrow. Oh, wow. We've been on for an hour. This is awesome. Yeah, this is a good point too, Marty. I think Tesla will keep climbing now that it's investment grade, which we knew. And over time, they will continue to get better ratings as well. So more and more institutions will continue to get into it. And then Twitter having their CEO is a big piece too. And interest rates pausing. So lots of good stuff going on for the entire market and Tesla in specific. So yeah. Let's see here. Just got here. I just got here. I have related questions. One, can a gap be filled during after hours trading? No. Gaps being created happen after hours. Gaps being filled happen during hours. So what happens is we closed at 221.31 today. If we open up at the 225 tomorrow, now we have a gap between 221.31 and 225. That is after hours. That's when that gap was created. In order for that gap to get filled, it has to get filled during market open hours. After close yesterday, Tesla went to 140. After close yesterday, Tesla went to 147. This satisfy? No, not yesterday. It didn't. I don't know what you were looking at. Yesterday was not 147. And no, if that's the case, so if this is just a scenario that you're talking about, no, the gap actually has to go down to that 146. So sometimes they say you can get within, like a percent of it, getting close. So like if the gap is at 146.58 and you got to 146.60, you can consider that filled. But if there's a gap like $2, but it only splits it in half, that's a partial fill of the gap. That is not a full fill of the gap. Typically you go back and you do end up fully filling that gap. So at 147, that would not be considered filling that gap. At 146, we would have to go back and fill it. Look at Tesla. Look at S Tesla to see what types of cars and tricks they make, and looks very cheap by PE. Oh, wait, wait a minute. Hold on. STLA or Tesla? I don't know. I don't know what I'm looking at here. You do a great job, Tim. Thanks, Lou. I appreciate that. Selfishly, I want to get it hammered back down to the 114 gap. That's where I'm at. And again, I know there's a lot of people out there who have already bought into all of this. They just want to see it run. They're tired of the pullbacks. They don't look to add anymore. I get it. But there's a lot of us little guys who are like, I wasn't around when you guys bought in back in that 2019 era when it was awesome buying prices. I want to get that same buying price again. I bought heavily down at that $100 to $120 level that we hit recently. I would love to get another opportunity at that again. Ian, what's going on? Good evening, Tim from Great Britain. Great to see Tesla over 100% year to date, crushing Bitcoin 64% gains. Wishing everyone a great week. In the US, just wish Prince Harry would stay there with you. Well, we see Prince Harry and Meghan getting into a near fatal accident. So who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, Model Y, man. That's where I'm torn. Is like the Model 3 is awesome. I've never ridden them in the Model 3. I've only been in the Model Y. And for me, it's like because I do my hiking and all that stuff, like I theoretically don't need a Model Y. Like I thought about it a couple months ago. I'm like, I don't need a Model Y. I'm just used to an SUV and with my kid and always just throwing stuff in the back of my car, but I could get away with a Model 3. I don't need the Y. So it's worth looking into. And then the other thing I looked at too with the Model 3 that's $22,000 is it's a rear wheel drive here in Connecticut with the weather. I don't know if I want that. I do want all wheel drive. So the long range would make sense. So I would have to look at the pricing on that one. And now that all of the Model 3s do qualify for EV tax credits, I could look into that because maybe I can get a long range for under 30,000. Maybe that's worth it. Let me see. I love my Model Y, but a 20,000 for a new Model 3 is ridiculous. A good deal. It really is. Like, never has anybody be able to get that. But again, I got some things to look into, but I'm going to research it. Very interesting. Can you talk about Tesla's debt to cash? I don't have the info in front of me right now. That's something I will have to put on my radar just to make sure I don't give incorrect information on that. But their debt is pretty much zero. They have nearly zero debt. They've pretty much paid it all. I think there was like $150,000 or something. It was ridiculously low, whatever their debt is. But their cash, they have last I checked, I think it was $22 billion in cash. So that's ridiculous. That most companies aren't like that. So that's where Tesla's at. Last numbers I knew. I got Elon's favorite number, 420 shares. That's awesome. Tim, I'm mistaken. Only inventory discounted cars close to you or near Boston, but still you can get for like 25K. Yeah, here in Connecticut, we cannot sell. It's crazy because Connecticut's a lot like California. We kind of follow suit with a lot of the different things that California's doing. But here in Connecticut, because we're an older state, we have a lot of those legacy auto laws and the dealership laws that are in place. So we favor the dealerships significantly. And unfortunately, because of that, we're not allowed to have any Tesla dealership or Tesla centers here in Connecticut. We've got, I think, only one, maybe two repair centers, but they kiboshed another one that was coming up in the West Hartford area. And it's all because of the fact that we have the dealership stuff going on. So for me to get a Tesla here, I either have to go to New York, Boston, or Rhode Island. And Rhode Island's closer to me. So, but Marty, you're in Boston. Nice. That would be awesome. Heck yeah. Marty, if I do get one and it's up in, oh, I got flies in here too. If I do go up there, we'll catch up for sure. Oh, I see. In the chart, there was a big dip to 147. So if that's the case and it was after hours, if you guys ever see, actually, let me see if I can bring it up in the charts to show you guys. It's hard to see on my charts. So if you guys are ever looking at the charts, like especially after hours, and you see a massive spike down and a massive spike up, that's usually an institution coming in and they're doing like a swap of shares. So it's not like you can ever buy at that price. So they're going to one of the money makers and they're like, all right, we're doing a swap of shares here at this point. Those were where you see usually it's a massive candlestick down, massive candlestick up, or reverse. That's all that is. Can you register a car in a state you are not a resident in? No. But if you own property in one of the states, you can. So for instance, a lot of people will like snowbirds buy houses down in Florida because there's no tax on their vehicles down there. So they'll register their vehicle in Florida because they don't have to pay taxes on it, but they'll drive it around in Connecticut. That happens regularly. Yeah, cash to debt versus debt to cash. Yeah. Model 3 long range would be about 31,000 after incentives. Still not bad considering my Model Y is about 51,000, so that's a $20,000 difference. Yeah, barely gonna snow in Boston. These snow tires are more adequate, I think. Well, I talked to some people in Toronto who had a rear-wheel drive Model 3, and they said it works perfectly fine. And obviously, Toronto is going to get some snow, so that gave me confidence about it. However, I'm still not sure about it on that standpoint. But yeah, and then not only that, Marty, I'm like, you know full well here in New England, we haven't had a winter for 2 years. We're due. We're due for a big one. So party at Marty's house. Heck yeah. Everybody bring your Teslas. All right. We're getting to the point where I'm going to be checking out of here, folks, because I got to get myself to bed. I got work in the morning and then I'm picking up my kid tomorrow night. If I get home early enough tomorrow night, I'll throw another video out for you guys, especially if something happens. I'm trying to get more consistent about getting these videos back out to you guys. And then definitely I will be on Thursday and then another live stream on Friday. So otherwise, you guys, my goodness, you guys are awesome. Love you guys. Loved having you on. Love these chats. One last thing here from Ian. Let me see. A report in the UK revealed Tesla's market share was in May was 2.37% versus compared to 0.02% last May. That's awesome. Massive jump in market share. Massive 13,600% rise in the Model Y frenzy continues. Yes, I love it. Oh man, what a way to end it, Ian. Thank you. You guys are the best. Love you guys. I'll see you guys later.